So I'll stop here and let me just open the floor to collect some couple of questions so that we can just give more opportunities to presenters to discuss more on their issue. Okay. Maybe you can identify yourself and give questions or comments.
Yeah. Michael, Aline, and I have questions to each of the three panelists. And first, I want to thank you for the information and for the insights. But to Mr. Hamilton, you talked about, or you seem to, not wanting, but you seem to say that they need to, like if CRICOM leaders are waiting on some major event, some catastrophe, to really push them into realization of the situation with respect to the security. Don't you think we have enough at the moment? And it may not be like a 9/11, but when you think about the extent to which crime has been affecting all the social programs, we are concerned about social development. But if we do not look at security, and particularly in take Trinidad and Tobago, for instance, the crime situation, the gains from which we hope to get from our social program will be considerably diminished. So I don't want us to think that we have to wait for anything catastrophic, as it were the catastrophe is here, not in a traditional sense. And so what are some of the things that you think we need to do a little more effectively with respect to that? And I'm going to use my own country, Trinidad and Tobago. I know very well that crime, and particularly drug trafficking, is really a catastrophe at this stage, when you think about the homicide rates. And some clear examples, I take for instance, we in Trinidad and Tobago have developed tremendous social programs for education. We put up centers in certain places, and something as basic may seem insignificant. Students can't move from one area to another to be able to access the education programs that we have in. So the education that they get and training becomes less, and they fall more and more in the hands of the drug traffickers. That's an example. So I have some other questions, but maybe you can deal with that at some time.
Thank you. First, let me thank all the presenters for their excellent presentations. And I have questions for the three panelists. First, Mr. Hamilton, in light of all the security challenges in the region, I want to ask why 1540 as an issue in the region, and what are the potential benefits of 1540 to the region? With respect to Mr. Epps, you spoke about CARICOM, Caribbean member states participating in drafting of the treaties. I just want to get an idea as to what has that experience been like. And Colonel Philip Spencer, in terms of all the initiatives, current initiatives in the region, both from the regional organizations and international organizations. I want to get a sense of what sort of coherent initiatives are underway by CARICOM with respect to all the various initiatives. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I want to join the others who have congratulated you all for your presentations, and also those who spoke on the plenary panel this morning. I want to take our chair's remarks as my point of entry. When I heard, mine will be a comment, not, when I heard the presentations this morning, the question was passing through my mind precisely, how can the Caribbean states either contribute to or use the United Nations system on security issues? And Mr. Epps has given us one window there. I spent 3 decades in the UN in different capacities, and I was a political director at one stage, and I used to go and brief the Security Council. And so always I'm on the lookout for security perspectives. My region when I was at the political department was the Africa region. So now, when I ask myself the question as a UN insider, but as a Caribbean guy, I'm from Guyanese, and if you guys would accept us as Caribbean, we do have the CARICOM Secretariat. So I found myself thinking that if I were seeking to use the UN on security issues, I probably would have 2 thoughts. First, I would want to sell some of the security perspectives that you presented here more to the United Nations so that they understand the dimensions of security issues in the Caribbean. And secondly, I probably would want to mobilize the UN on an issue that where we can turn the UN to some advantage. And I have not been able to identify this issue myself, but I wonder, for example, it's not been mentioned in the discussions so far. Countries that are hit by tsunamis, they're more and more developing early warning and alert systems. And I don't know the science of this, but where are we now in terms of early warning techniques and things like that vis-a-vis hurricanes? And secondly, I probably, when we come to the plenary panel with the ambassadors on small states, and the Barbados ambassador will be there, I will ask him this question in the plenary. I wonder whether we shouldn't use the forum of the United Nations to squeeze the United States and Canada on this business of sending back criminals to our countries. I know that in my country, Guyana, and from what I heard here this morning, that this is a major security issue. Anyhow, final comment. I would like to encourage all those of you who presented this morning and the plenary in here, I would like to encourage, and maybe someone of the academics in the field here, I would like to encourage somebody to take your essays and publish them together as a book on Caribbean perspectives on security issues. But thank you very much.
Very quickly. Narissa Siegel, I'm from the United Nations System in Suriname. Congratulations to the members of the panel. Very interesting information presented. I was particularly interested in the deepening and widening of the processes taking place within the system as we continue to engage with the UN system on one hand, but and the OAS, but also to bring light to the deepening of CARICOM. And I think a lot of this information is not disseminated within the populations of the region, first of all, and that's probably one of the first hurdles that you have to get across. And also maybe we need to speak more to each other, as from our previous session earlier, I think that was pretty clear that even as we are professionals in the area, that if we speak to each other, it would help in that sort of communication gap. What my question, though, is from the coming out of most of the presentations, where does the UN fit into this regional security setting, or even as you look at your own national policies? Someone highlighted the UN ODC would be reestablishing the office in Barbados. If any members of the panel can give some more explanation or any more details, I don't know if this arose out of the recent security meetings in Suriname, or because it's very new to me. If you can highlight where the initiative came from, and of course, if the UN ODC is here, there would be a particular, how you say, well, what would be the strategic importance of having the UN ODC there, and what would be now the relationship between what seems to be a functioning implementation system within CARICOM given the RSS? How does this relate to, how do you tie this into your now global institution?
Thank you for some pretty challenging questions that certainly do highlight a range of the key areas that we have been focusing on. Let me first address Dr. Aline's question about looking at, I guess, different mechanisms like 1540 and their relevance, as opposed to what he, I think, very accurately describes as a current catastrophe with respect to crime and violence in the region.